here's your heads up. Heads up to vulnerability. I swear a little bit, just a little. And the BS of, again, that faking it till you make it. But looking for a deeper connection. Have a listen. I think you'll get it.
Warning.
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 Warning. You are entering into the unplugged mind of Paul Clough. Too late. Personal Development Unplugged.
Okay, so vulnerability. So what is vulnerability? I looked it up on the web to find out exactly what it means. And vulnerability means exposed to the possibility of being attacked or harmed physically or emotionally. Now, is that something you really want to do? You know, this vulnerability malarkey is something that is the buzzword. Everyone wants to be so bloody vulnerable. You know, vulnerable. Someone who is weak and without protection. And if you keep looking for more definitions, the more and more they get negative. Certainly negative if you want to be a vulnerable person. So, with all that in mind, I thought, well, if vulnerability is this new way to get connection, then maybe we go to that real art of faking it till you make it. Let's fake that vulnerability. And let's then take advantage of other people's vulnerability because they're someone who is weak and they're without protection. What is all that about? That's all bullshit. It's all BS. You know, if you want to start to be vulnerable, and if you want to explore vulnerability to see, you know, if it's cracked up to be, you know, to what it's supposed to be, then I think you've got to start somewhere else. Not this thing where you just open up to everybody, you know, and be vulnerable to everybody, open to attack, because you do appear weak. You do appear needy when in every conversation you go onto that vulnerability malarkey. But vulnerability is great if you start at the right place. So I think you should start with one person, your best friend. Start being vulnerable to your best friend, or find out about your vulnerability with your best friend. Now, who's your best friend? You. You're your best friend. You know, so let's look at, you know, what's so important about vulnerability to you. So that's what you do. You ask a question. Get a journal. Get a piece of paper and a pen and just ask yourself, what's so bloody important about being vulnerable? Why is being vulnerable important to me? And notice what comes up. And just let your pen write on the paper. The important things about being vulnerable. What will it get you? What will allow you to feel? What will it do? And then look at each answer you get and notice, what direction are those answers taking you? What do you mean by that, Cluffy? Well, what I mean by that is, you know, are they towards something good, or are they away from something which is negative? You know, is it taking you away from loneliness? That seems quite good. It seems positive, doesn't it? But it's not, because you're coming away from loneliness. If it's towards better connections, hey, that's brilliant. But why is that important to you? And understand and be vulnerable to yourself first before you expose this vulnerability. You know, this tender side of yourself. Make sure you understand it. Understand the values, your personal values of being vulnerability. See, when you know this, and when you know yourself and it's been okay to be vulnerable to yourself, and if there was some negatives, like coming away from loneliness, then you know what to work on first. Work on yourself. Loads of things on YouTube and on this podcast or wherever you want to look of how to work on issues of yourself. And when you've got that, And then that vulnerability is always going to take you to some better connection. Then you can be authentic about it now, can't you? None of that fake it till you make it. You can be authentic because you will understand you, and you'll understand the why you want to be authentically vulnerable. And the thing is, when you are, here's my challenge to you. Be that much vulnerable first, just a little bit, and see if it's reciprocated. Because this is the way we really are going to get connection with people, a true, deep connection. So just notice, is the opportunity right? Is it appropriate? Is this the place where you want a connection and it's going to get you that value, that thing is important to you? And then be a little bit vulnerable and see if it's reciprocated. If it's not, back off and stop it. And just allow that conversation, because this might not be the right person, or it isn't the right time just now. And then come back with a little bit more another time, because it takes time. Because if that other person is going to reciprocate, remember, they're going to expose them to that possibility of being attacked, harmed, emotionally or physically. And I know you're not going to do that, but they don't know that. And you need to get that connection. Because when you get it, it's awesome. But little bit, by little bit, by little bit, and little bit. And then you're going to connect at such a deep level. But at least you know where you're coming from. And you're coming from a place of real authenticity, because you and your best friend has worked it out first. I hope that made a bit of sense, because I do just get so naffed off with people keep talking about, first of all, let's just be vulnerable. It's not a good thing just to dive in, I don't think anyway. And certainly this fake it till you make it brigade, well, they can go and fake off for all I'm concerned. Hope you enjoyed that. If you want some more, have a good listen to me. All right now, bye-bye. I really hope you got something out of that. If you did, I'd love you to send me your feedback. You know where feedback is. It's feedback@personaldevelopmentunplugged.com. That's the email address. If it rankled your feathers a little bit, let me know too, because it's a very sensitive subject about being vulnerable, and I want to go into it deeper and a lot more softer, I think. This was just my reaction to hearing so many people being vulnerable. Let's be vulnerable, or faking it, which gets my goat. Anyway, do that. Please share. If this has made, if you've got a little bit out of this, please share it with your best friends. Okay, I'd love to hear from you, and I'd love you to share this, and let's just create this wonderful world. I know it doesn't take a couple of seconds, as people always tell you, but it just takes a little bit of time. But the effect of that time in that selfless service creates a wonderful world we're all going to live in, and then we can connect at a real deep level. So until the next time, enjoy every heartbeat. So many of you are now signing on to the hypnosis tracks at paulcloughonline.com/podcast. Now, why would you want to do that if you haven't done it already? And I'm going to tell you, because you keep them all in one place. There's no searching through 250 odd podcasts to find that one hypnosis track you want. And because they're all in one place, you can look through them and suddenly see things that you've forgotten about. And you may want to then listen to that type of hypnosis track. It's just, you've got an issue, you can go down that page and you find them. And the good thing about this is you will also receive updates via email of all the latest hypnosis tracks. So if you miss that podcast, you won't miss a hypnosis track. They're all there for you. You'll also get a few little free gifts in hypnosis and discounts onto the bigger programs that I have. It's a simple one-page part of my website with a list of all of those hypnosis tracks. And guess what? They're all downloadable and they're all free. So you get them. All you have to do is sign in. Sign in to paulcloughonline.com/podcast. It's as simple as that. That was the how, by the way. I know some people, I'm not, some people are a bit worried about people sharing emails. The reason I'm not is because I don't do it. Don't do it ever, 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 ever. Anyway, if you want all those hypnosis tracks, you want to get updates on your email, and you also want maybe a few free gifts and discounts on the programs, go to paulcloughonline.com/podcast. You'll love it.
Warning, you are now leaving the unplugged mind of Paul Clough. It's time to fly on your own. Be brave, my friend.
Personal Development Unplugged.